Hey guys, I'm Dan Wolf and welcome back to the channel. And don't forget, if you're new to this series, you can go right to the playlist. Just go to the Planet Zoo playlist and you can kind of watch these all the way from episode 1 to 18. I've got to give a big shout out to my buddies at Frontier, Shantae, Bo, all of the community managers, because on Monday it was so insane. I was telling Beyond Drew, I'm like, rest in peace my notifications, because I had actually taken my buddy to a doctor's appointment on Monday. He just asked, he had to have a procedure done, and they had to actually put him under anesthesia, and he couldn't drive for 24 hours. So a few weeks ago, he gave me a heads up about this and said, hey, Monday the 17th or whatever, can you take me? I have to be at the hospital at 8 and drive me back home. Well, so I was sitting there. Remember, this is United States East Coast time, like 8 o'clock on Monday morning, and my phone goes off, and it's the Planet Zoo official Twitter account. And I was thinking, okay, I've got the notifications set up to where I see it if any of them tweet, if that account tweets anything out at all. And then I saw it said our friend at Dan Wolf, and I was like, what the? And I pulled it up, and they had tweeted the first episode of Pine Creek Zoo here. So we have brought on a ton of new people to our little series here, and they, all these new people are coming on, and we're about to finish up the series and move on to a new zoo. But there is quite a few hours of footage you can catch up on in a series. Some good background noise, I call it, if you wanted to check out this series. So I know you might be new and you're 18 episodes deep, but one cool thing about all this is it's all saved, and you guys can go back and check out the zoo from the beginning if you want. And I think that would be really cool to kind of let you get in and listen to some of the backstory and kind of like this, just see how this park has evolved over the last couple months. Speaking of Beyond Drew, I tweeted him out a picture of like 42 days ago, and the park, like none of this, like this is the line right here, basically. Maybe just like right around in here. None of this was here. Like 42 days ago, we were still working on the parking lot in the entrance of the place. But anyways, I digress. Let's get over here. I wanted to show you guys the start of the Asian area. So basically, when you make your way past our new little makeshift seal exhibit, you're kind of greeted by, we've got this little blueprint that's a Frontier blueprint with the little panda guy. I've got Carlos G's 72s, awesome custom trees here. I thought that looked like a really cool, like, you ever see like in maybe the department home stores, like those bonsai trees, like their little fake bonsai trees? Thought that worked out really, really perfect to kind of split the stairs. And also right here, I've got just like a little rock garden, almost like a Japanese rock garden with the sand and the little bit of shrubbery. I've got the stone pillars in here as kind of like the stepping stones. If you look right here, see, those are these. And I was telling Cavity Creep, I just sunk those into the ground, and they're like little path stepping stones. So I thought that was pretty neat. I don't have it pulled up in front of me right now, but I got this really, I want to say this is Combat. It might not be Combat Wombat, but I will definitely link the name down below on who created that. I don't think it actually, does it show us in the, no, it doesn't actually show us. It might cut this video. Let me see if it pulls this up. Phase. Yeah, Phase Japanese style arch here. So I thought that was really cool. Hopefully it didn't cut the video off right there. Sometimes when I jump back out to the Steam Workshop, it totally just kills the video. So I'll be sitting here talking for like 20 minutes, and then I'll look up and I'll be like, oh my God, I didn't record any of that. But anyways, so right when you make your way, you can have like your little photo op there with our little panda, or we also have an Adventure Club stop right here like we do at the entrance to all the little lands. Once you make your way under Faye's beautiful archway here, look, we've got a Komodo dragon habitat, and these guys are really, really fun to watch. I've got a little a male and a female, so we've got Earl and Faye over here. That's little Faye. And here's Earl. So yeah, that is their little spot. I've got the wood. Surprisingly, they only need grade 2 enclosures. So we've got the wood enclosure right here, and just for safety reasons, I've got the little the little construction piece of glass up. I just think, like, as my design process is has kind of evolved with the game, I think it looks a little better kind of doing these makeshift kind of glass walls instead of totally shifting over to the actual glass walls. Now, in some instances, like, what's an example? I did it there with the seals. What's an example of some actual just natural glass? Oh yeah, if we look over here at the chimpanzees, their little natural glass, like, that looks pretty cool. It looks like a big thick piece of glass that's embedded in the stone, in the wood. I think that just works out really, really well. Same way, like, if you make your way up the path here, kind of looking down on them, I think that glass, it works out good right there. I don't know if I have any other example. The tigers will be a good example. We'll definitely do some glass work with the tigers. But as far as the Komodo dragons go, I think it just worked out really, really well. Good height. You can walk up. May need to lower the wall just a hair more as far as little kids and stuff being able to look in. But I just think it just adds a little more character to the exhibit here, and I like how I was able to kind of break up the exhibit a little bit with that rock work. So, there's not like 180 people just kind of all sitting here staring in on them. It kind of, even with them, it gives them a little more privacy, breaks up where you can kind of look in on them a little bit, and I just think, like, it's just really aesthetically kind of like kind of pleasing to have it kind of like this and breaking that area up a little bit. And, too, having the Komodo dragons is a cool, like, opener animal instead of just kind of walking right in and bam, there's the Bengal tigers right there off to your left or right. We'll kind of work those a little farther back into the land, actually kind of use the tigers to pull you back into the land a little further. So, I think that's just another little cool area that we have started here. And like I said, we will push out further into the Asian area. So for anybody that's new, let's kind of bring them in and we will show them how this all starts, kind of coming into the main little entrance roundabout area here. So you can either roundabout here and drop people off, or you can make your way completely around the roundabout, or turn in right here and make your way down into some of the parking areas. On some of the we've got handicap ADA parking over here. On some of the heavier days, the heavier crowded, longer parking lot walking days, we've got the trams that actually run, and they will bring you right to the front gate. We've got the bus stop area over here, well, the bus parking area, I should say. So once the buses actually come in and drop people off, drop the little groups off, they have a little waiting parking area over there. Our main Pine Creek Zoo sign, that was done by the incredibly awesome Ricey. You may know her for her custom fonts. She actually came in and did this custom sign for me. So I did not touch anything about the Pine Creek Zoo sign. That is a one-of-a-kind Ricey custom-made creation for me. We've got the electric vehicle charging stations over here. My buddy MJ suggested that as far as the electric car parking, so we got you covered with some spots right there. And then we have one more little overflow parking annex kind of over there. My buddy Michael, he was even saying, as far as we were talking about expanding the park, the only problem with making the park bigger than this is I would really need to kind of expand the infrastructure, which I don't really want to do, because I think the size of the park, the size of the entrance, the size of the parking, I think everything is incredibly charming right now. It's just, it all flows just how I wanted it to. And when I think to myself of a realistic zoo, thanks to the Bro Nation, getting my mind turning and wanting to start a realistic zoo, and just really getting the realistic kind of theme out of my system now that I know we've done a good job on it, put a lot of work into it. A lot of enthusiasm went into it, a lot of following. A lot of you guys have really come on board with this park extremely well. You're so engaging with your content, and I definitely appreciate your time that you've put in and you've invested in this park with me. Definitely do not take that for granted, and it really has just opened up such a design, like a new design hemisphere for me that I was totally not into and not comfortable with. And it's really cool that we've tackled this early on in Planet Zoo's life cycle, instead of at the latter end, and who knows how long the life cycle will be. But what I'm saying is, we're only one DLC in, and we've already tackled a realistic project of this scale. So when we go on to create the next Pine Creek or whatever we go on to do, as far as even in the fantasy world, and as much fun as we've had with this, we will undoubtedly come back and touch on realistic builds again. The practice that we've got in with this, and the use of the pieces, and the just like the higher level of thinking you have to do with the backstage and the parking and the infrastructure, more specifically, has just been really an incredible process, incredible growing process, learning process for me specifically as a creator, and really cool to bring you guys kind of along on this journey while I was a complete realism noob. We have tailored this park really well. Really interesting kind of project, looking at my background and what I've came from. But anyways, Michael and I were talking about if the park gets bigger than this, expanding infrastructure. So I'm kind of wanting to keep this kind of like we have it, as far as the parking and the entrance goes. So that's why, like I said, we will finish up with the East Asian area and maybe a museum back there, and finish up kind of like with the academic village. And then we will move on to something new. But anyway, so yeah, the backstory of the zoo, if you're new, is, remember, the zoo, this was an old highway, like just a little 2-lane highway that came through these farmlands, and the zoo started out as a little roadside zoo. That's all they had. It was really crude. It was really quick put together, kind of like, think like it was a zoo mixed in with a roadside weekend flea market. Only open on like Saturdays and Sundays. Sometimes the little fairs would come in and set up, and people could come in and see the animals. But yeah, that was this main highway that runs through here. And as the zoo progressed, and it made strides, took on bigger donations, started taking on families that wanted to really help with the progression of the zoo, it grew and grew, and then the highway ended up, like, as far as the backstory goes, we were thinking that there is now a larger, like 4-lane or 6-lane highway that kind of runs adjacent to the property over there. And this property with the highway and all was essentially purchased. We were thinking sometime in the 60s, 70s, and that leads itself to the back end infrastructure part of the zoo. The whole highway, the old highway part, lends itself to the infrastructure part. So if you look back here, I've got a mixture of my brick buildings. These were like some of the older original buildings here, and I've got Beyond Drew's larger factory building back there. All of these are kind of like backstage support buildings now. Human resources, research, hiring departments, all of that. So, and also too, right here, Beyond Drew built this kind of like, we've got this security gate right here, so the regular public can't just go like barging into the backstage area. We've got the little fire lane, and you can see back here I've got this incredible blueprint We've got some backstage water infrastructure back here in place. We've got the mulch and the overflow rock, and then this actually brings you over to the to kind of like the little backstage support bridge that looks back onto the African Pride area, the African Savannah Valley, if you will. And yeah, so that's where all that happened. Kind of like all the backstage support goes down. We've got the main little entrance building right here where you get your tickets and go through Jers turnstiles there. We've got the main little plaza over here. We've got you some little bike parking. I said at the beginning, this is for all my little Dutchy bike riders. That's your little parking spot over there. And then, of course, all of the middle of the park here is anchored by its namesake, Pine Creek. So, yes, that is Pine Creek that runs completely through the zoo here. And we'll take you through here and follow it. This first little bridge you come to kind of takes you over to the Americas. It takes you over to Ricey Cove Reptile Center. So with all of her help on the font and the main, my main little sign, we dedicated the Reptile Center to her. This is like one of my little makeshift turtle ponds. If you go into Ricey's Center, we've got a little cichlid aquarium here, and then of course we've got the vines and the glass that go all through the ceiling of the Reptile Center. We've got iguanas, we've got pythons, all kinds of little all your little slithery critters back in Ricey's Reptile Center back there. We've got two giant tortoises over here. That's their kind of little area. And then over here to the other side, we've got our gharial exhibit. So there's our big boy. And that's his little female companion there. And we've got that custom little walkway out here. You can come and watch them. Back in here is kind of like their little winter house. So you can get down in here, and even in the wintertime, in this kind of climate, you can bring them in, get them out of the snow, get them out of the cold. They've got the heated pool. So that is up and running. And like I said, when you make your way across that bridge, you're kind of like, you're greeted by these two giant, massive twin red cedars. I think this is another Ricey sign right here. We've got an Adventure Club sign up. What I was telling people about the Adventure Club is that's like a little program I was thinking that a lot of zoos have, where the little kids can come up and sign up at the Adventure Club, and these different booths send them all throughout the zoo to identify different animals, different plants, all of that kind of fun stuff, and they can take that to, we've got these little booths kind of set up all over the zoo, and they can go turn that stuff in for different prizes and all that. So once you make your way a little further into the North American area here, we've got the Timberwolves little section. So that's their little enclosure. I've got it pretty hilly, pretty mountainous for them. So they're always back here kind of hiding, running around, being mischievous. If you look over here, we've got a pair of sister grizzly bears, Jenna and Maggie. So that is that's our little grizzly bear exhibit right there. They're usually always napping around. Another really big section, really big bend of the creek right here. Gets a little crazy right here. It kind of opens up, and you've got some rapids and some rock work. Really like how we were able to really see how we were really able to. We got a hog tied up over here, boxed up. I think it was really cool how we were able to incorporate that the path so close to the creek right there. And back here we've got it kind of like I said, same way with the bridges that come through and interact with the creek. Really cool. We've got the Boyd family Red Panda Village. I'm sorry if I'm making you guys dizzy, but just trying to get these angles in here to show you guys. We've got our little red pandas over here. That's their little exhibit. And they've got an indoor section, bathrooms, and then over here, what we originally started at is Fender's Farm. So this is our little farm area. We've got our barn, we've got our little hogs here, we've got our little sheep area where you can go in and pet the sheep. I'm kind of making do with some doll sheep here. My buddy Patrick fixed us up with these cool little custom feeders. So yeah, that's like the little little kids farm area. I've got them a little sandbox here. I still have to get those sinks set up like I said I was going to. You know how like when they're done with the animals, they like to have little stations where the kids can wash their hands. Got to get back in here and set that up. Suicide Up, she put this absolutely gorgeous playground on the workshop. So this is kind of like Fender Farms, the Clayton family playground, sponsored obviously by the Clayton family. Thought that was really, really cool. Then we've got, let me see if I can pull up his name here real quick. We've got this awesome zipline fire tower by, I can't remember, Seismic. Yes, got Seismic's fire tower up right there. Thought that was really, really cool, and I've kind of used it. You can see I've used it as kind of like a little makeshift zip tower. So we've got it like splitting this little valley right here. We've had to take some trees out of the way. Then we've got a little bit, I wanted to lower the zoo a little bit. You guys said it was important to kind of get that undulation in here. So we've got a little set of waterfalls right here, and we were able to drop the creek down and kind of get this whole little area kind of on a little bit lower level. And then also too with the American area, we have got the bison over here. So we've got the American bison kind of plains over here. You can come up on the walkways here and kind of watch them do their thing. That was really, really cool how their kind of little enclosure worked out with the creek. Then you've got the Cherokee campgrounds over here. This is like an extra kind of the paid experience where you can actually spend the night in the zoo. Moblung really did an awesome job on our canoe trailers and even our bicycle trailer here. All of this is custom done with the trailer wheels, bikes, and I just thought that was really, really awesome. Florida Man had helped with the custom kind of like support buildings for the camp. Thought that was really, really cool. And then over here we've got Pine Creek Lake, and they can come out here and canoe around. And we've got a little island for them to kind of mess around in. Got an implied exhibit over here with the little river otters, and that kind of closes off the little river otter area. Kind of closes off the North American area, and then as well with the with Black Bear Ridge over here. So we've got our two little Formosan black bears. Like I've said, we just kind of pretend like they're little North American black bears, but this is their kind of like a little glass. This is another example of where the glass actually worked out really good as far as being able to look in there and see what those guys are up to. And last but not least, we've got the Beyond Drew Academic Village over here. Brought in a lot of people's really, really cool brick buildings. We've got the Nutrahirsch Conservation Department. Nutra is a buddy of mine that actually really works at a zoo in Germany, and he's always really good about trying to give me feedback and just trying to make things as realistic as possible. And actually, last but not least, is the little African area. So over here, when you make your way in, if you peel off to the left, we've got our crazy chimpanzees over here. They're always running around getting into some mischief, and that's their enclosure. Then we've got the ring-tailed lemurs. They're over in here. We've got actually a couple of them boxed up here. Let's let them out. Then over here off to the right, this is kind of like the little entrance area when you make your way in. And I've got a little implied meerkat exhibit over here. So I've got the little tunnels, and you know, I would assume if we had little meerkats in there, they would be running around all over the place, in and out of the tunnels, digging, foraging. So I think that came out really, really cool. Got a little gift shop right there, and then you kind of, like when you're making your way through here, you kind of get into the whole Elephant Valley type area, and then it kind of drops down, and we actually have an elephant bridge that they use. So that's really, really cool when they're going back and forth. We kind of did that as a necessity to really kind of size up the African elephant area, because it was kind of small. Before we did that, this little area is kind of all that encompassed the elephant area. So now when they go across this bridge, they have this whole other side over here for that extra space. And when you make your way down underneath their bridge, you're greeted by the zebras, the sable antelopes. The giraffe is always kind of like a fan favorite. And what I said here, what we did back, I think we showcased this majorly in episode 15, I believe. This is a tiered kind of savanna system. So if you're looking back here, see, this is the African lions are back here, and it really just looks like it's all just one flowing exhibit. Because if you're the guest down here, you can see the lions up there on that rock, and it's kind of like you're looking at like, holy crap, them lions are just there with the zebras. But with that little bit of forced perspective work, we've actually been able to make it look like the lions can kind of like come right down into that area. But we actually have a little electric fence right here. A lot of you guys have been saying, oh man, S-Dan Wolf, the only thing is you've got the electric fence right down in the water. And I had actually, before I filmed that episode, I had started building like a little concrete wall right here to kind of separate the water from the electric fence. And I guess we'll still get around to doing that. So the lions are protected, but don't necessarily get zapped in that water. So see, like I said, if you're down here as a little person, you can see that lioness up there. It looks like she's just on the other side of those hills and those rocks, and she could just make her way right down in here at us. But then, like I said, once you really make your way up in here, you can see that she is what the heck? Oh, the giraffes are knocking their little thing around. So yeah, that is what I have going on, guys. That is a really quick tour of Pine Creek Zoo. I know I've kept you here for almost 30 minutes, so I'll go ahead and wrap this up and get out of here. But yeah, don't forget to leave me some questions down below, whatever you guys think or whatever you have going on or any suggestions. And yeah, right now my focus is completely on the Asian area. So we do have our first animals. We've got the Komodo dragons in there, and I think that episode, that exhibit came out really, really cool. And but yeah, thank you guys as always for stopping by and hanging out with me, and I'll catch you in the next video. Thank you. See ya.